Sure. Here's a 1600-word article on the Lada Kalina, crafted in a smooth, narrative style suitable for a YouTube script. The Lada Kalina is one of those cars that doesn't try to be something it's not. It's not here to dazzle you with over-the-top performance or luxury features. It doesn't carry a badge designed to impress. But in its own humble way, the Kalina tells a story of practicality, endurance, and national pride. This car wasn't built to dominate racetracks or to sparkle on showroom floors. It was built for the everyday people of Russia, made to withstand the harsh conditions of the world's largest country, and to do so reliably and affordably. Launched in the early 2000s, the Lada Kalina was AvtoVAZ's answer to a growing need for a modern, compact, and fuel-efficient vehicle. As Russia moved into the new millennium, the auto industry was shifting. Imports were becoming more common, consumer expectations were rising, and the days of boxy Soviet-era designs were numbered. The Kalina marked an evolution. A small, affordable car with a front-wheel drive layout, relatively modern styling, and a fresh approach to engineering, at least by Lada's historical standards. The Kalina was first introduced in 2004, and it represented a significant step forward for the brand. Available in 3 body styles, a sedan, hatchback, and station wagon, the Kalina was designed to be versatile. Whether you were a young driver in the city or a family living out in the countryside, there was a Kalina model that could suit your needs. It wasn't flashy, but it got the job done. And for millions of Russians, that was exactly what they needed. One of the Kalina's biggest selling points was its affordability. It offered a genuine alternative to used imports from Europe and Japan, which often came with high maintenance costs and parts availability issues. The Kalina, on the other hand, was cheap to fix, easy to understand, and parts were available just about anywhere in Russia. That's the kind of practicality that wins hearts in a country where temperatures can swing from -40 to +40 in a matter of months, and where road conditions range from pristine highways to pothole-filled nightmares. Performance-wise, the Kalina was never going to set the world on fire, but that wasn't the point. It came with a range of inline-4 engines, typically between 1.4 and 1.6 liters, producing around 80 to 100 horsepower. Not a powerhouse by any means, but more than adequate for commuting, errands, and even long drives across the vast Russian landscape. The ride quality was decent, and the car handled predictably. It didn't try to be sporty, but it was stable and composed, exactly what you'd want in a budget family car. Perhaps one of the more interesting aspects of the Kalina's story is how it became a bit of a cult hero, not just in Russia, but internationally, thanks in part to its appearance on the popular show Top Gear. In a segment where Jeremy Clarkson, Richard Hammond, and James May visited Russia, they drove a Kalina and were pleasantly surprised. Clarkson even declared it as the best car in Russia, citing its simplicity and value. That kind of exposure gave the Kalina a strange kind of charm in the eyes of car enthusiasts worldwide. Suddenly, the car that was once mocked for being dull and uninspiring was now being celebrated for those very same reasons. Now, let's talk about the interior. Was it luxurious? No. Was it comfortable and functional? Absolutely. You got a basic dashboard, straightforward controls, and just enough tech to make it feel modern. Over the years, the Kalina received updates, most notably with the Kalina 2, which launched in 2013. This second generation featured improved materials, better sound insulation, more modern design, hues, and upgrades like airbags, ABS, and even multimedia systems with touchscreens in higher trims. It was a sign that AvtoVAZ was listening to customer feedback and trying to bring the Kalina into the 21st century. And while the Kalina 2 was still a budget car, it managed to close the gap between Lada and its more expensive European rivals. Russian consumers now had a homegrown vehicle that didn't feel like a step backward. It was simple, yes, but simplicity can be a virtue. When things go wrong, simple cars are easier to fix. And in Russia, where distances are huge and conditions can be extreme, that kind of dependability is gold. Fuel economy was another big win for the Kalina. Averaging around 6 to 7 liters per 100 kilometers, it was efficient enough to keep running costs low, again, an important factor for budget-conscious buyers. Maintenance was straightforward, and thanks to a widespread network of service centers and parts suppliers, owners didn't have to worry about spending days or weeks waiting for repairs. But beyond all the specs and practicality, there's something else about the Kalina that's worth talking about: its role in Russian culture. For many people, the Kalina was their first car. It was the car that took them on family road trips, that they used to learn how to drive, that got them to work and back day after day. It's woven into the daily life of millions, a symbol of reliability and familiarity. In motorsport, the Kalina also had a surprising presence. It was used in local rally and racing events, where teams modified the humble hatchback into surprisingly competent machines. With tuned suspensions, upgraded brakes, and turbocharged engines, the Kalina proved it could do more than just drive to the supermarket. It earned a quiet respect among enthusiasts for its potential, even if it never became a full-blown performance icon. Production of the Kalina officially ended in 2018, as Lada moved forward with its more modern Vesta and Granta models. But the legacy of the Kalina lives on. Many are still on the road today, continuing to serve their owners faithfully. In the used car market, they remain popular for their value and ease of maintenance. The story of the Lada Kalina isn't about flash or fame, it's about function. It's a car that never pretended to be something it wasn't. And in a world where automakers often overpromise and underdeliver, there's something refreshing about that honesty. The Kalina is a reminder that not every car needs to be revolutionary. Sometimes, all you need is a vehicle that works. One that starts up every morning, gets you where you're going, and doesn't cost a fortune to keep on the road. For Russia, the Kalina was more than just a car. It was a symbol of self-reliance, a car designed, built, and driven in Russia, for Russians. And for those who owned one, it wasn't just transportation. It was a companion, a workhorse, and in many cases, a part of the family. As we look back on the Kalina, it's clear that its impact went beyond numbers and reviews. It succeeded in fulfilling its mission, and did so with a kind of quiet dignity. It's the kind of car that reminds us why simple things can be beautiful. Not because they're perfect, but because they are exactly what they need to be. So if you ever find yourself in Russia and spot a Lada Kalina cruising down the road, dusty, maybe a little beat up, but still running strong, give it a nod of respect. That little car has probably seen more than you could imagine. And chances are, it'll still be going for years to come. Would you like a shorter version for your video description or any visuals to go with the script?